Alright, well, doing a little video here, trying to showcase the difference between the Oneleaf 50mm and the Oneleaf 35mm thermal scope. So this is the MT1000 with the laser rangefinder. Starting off, trying to show a little bit of what the differences look like at super long distances. So those cars way in the background there are around 750 to 760 yards or so quite a good ways. And you can see them just going by. I tried to get these in focus as perfectly as I could before I turned on the video, so they should be about as good as they can get. And yeah, so they're both all on the same settings. This is currently what's called city mode, and this is also on black hot as well. And yep, so that's kind of what they look like. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what they look like zoomed in. The 50mm is at 2.8 base magnification, and the 35mm is at 2x base magnification. So we're going to zoom in one time on each, and now you can see what they look like zoomed in one. And they of course start to degrade a little bit, as all thermal scopes do. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. So yep, but you can still obviously make out what the things are. 50 is obviously a little bit better because it's a larger lens, so, and a narrower field of view. So for long range, obviously the 50mm is going to be a better one, but for short range, within 100, 150, 200 yards, the 35mm is still a great scope. So you can see we zoomed in another notch here. We're going to go in one more notch. So we're I think halfway zoom. So let's zoom in one more. And let's try to reposition this a little bit. So that way they're both, oops. Both of these aren't pointing exactly in the same place, but it's pretty close. So let's zoom in one more, and this is fully zoomed in. So you can see what they look like, both pointing all at the same stuff. So yep, 50mm is obviously going to be a little bit better, but 35mm really isn't that far behind. So we're going to zoom all the way back out again. So we are now all the way back out. So for super long range stuff, if you're trying to identify things like coyotes and pigs at longer ranges, obviously the 50mm is going to be a little bit better. So let's take a look at something else over here. We are looking at another apartment building, and I believe, so typically this person that lives in that second floor apartment has a little dog that they keep out on their front porch, and you can kind of see it in the bottom corner there on both scopes. So we're going to zoom in a little bit. Oh, let's actually, before we do that, let's double check to make sure that these things are perfectly focused. I don't know if we're going to be able to get much better. No, that's going. I'm doing the 50mm right now. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. Not too much. That's probably about good. Let's double check the 35mm. Both of these are actually still pretty good. I feel like the 35mm has a slightly larger depth of view, or focus depth of view, so you don't have to focus it as much, and the 50 is a little bit more sensitive to that, but not by a whole lot. I'm going to reposition these a little. So yeah, I think that's about as good as they're gonna get. I'm trying to focus actually on the apartment building itself. Messing around with the 35 a little bit more. And yeah. dog is partially obscured right now. It'll get up and walk around every now and then. It typically always does, but it's a pretty small dog. I'd say probably 15 pounds is my guess of what the thing weighs. So it's not a big dog by any means. This apartment building is like 180. We're actually turning on the rangefinder on each one of them. One says 185, other one says 187, or 186, 187. They are pretty dang close. So still a good long distance away. And that, I feel like if that dog gets up here in a little bit, it'll hopefully help you get an idea as to what you might expect to look at if you were to look at a coyote or a pig, or I guess I should say a piglet. Coyotes are obviously a little bit bigger than a 15-pound dog, but yeah. So anyway, we'll go through the color palettes here. So here we go. So now next color palette, so we were on Black Hot, now we're on Glory Hot. Now we are on White Hot. I personally think that Black Hot and White Hot are the best of the two. And also it still is a little bit of daytime right now, so things would look different if it was completely at night right now, or if it was night. So this is the sepia color, and now we have Iron Bow, Rainbow, Night. I feel like this one's actually a pretty good one. I like this one. I feel like I've used it a couple of times out in the field, and I don't mind it at all. And then we have Aurora. Not a big fan of this one. Red Hot. Not a fan of it myself. Jungle. Again, not a fan. Medical. I feel like this is the absolute worst one. And we are back to Black Hot again. These scopes also, they don't really have a contrast setting, but they do have what are called like scene modes, I guess you want to call it. So we're currently on city right now. We're going to go through the modes here. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Sorry. So now we are on forest mode. It just changes how it displays what you're looking at. Rain mode. Snow mode. Fog mode. And back to city mode. And of course you can go through each one of the individual or you can go through all the different little color mode or contrast modes whenever you're in each one of the different color palettes, if you want to futz around with it that much. So and now we will zoom in on that little dog. Hopefully he'll peek his head out a little bit more or walk by. So oops, I think I went in one too many. Here we go. And full magnification for each one of them. So I think with either one of the scopes, I personally would never zoom in the full amount. I would probably zoom in maybe once or twice at maximum. Obviously you lose resolution as you zoom in, and I personally don't think that I don't really shoot hardly anything over 200 yards too often, but I feel like if I needed to, I could still make it happen with these particular scopes. So obviously, for me, I mainly do mostly pig hunting, and all my shots are usually under 100 yards, and the 35mm is actually a benefit there because you do have a wider field of view, and you can then find the pigs a little bit better because of a greater field of view and make follow-up shots. But the 50mm isn't really bad. So yep, just thought I'd do a little video and show everybody what they look like, and that's it. Alright, signing off.